Good day to you. I want to address today an important topic. What kind of child are you having, and how will he or she best do at school, and what are the influences that have gone on while he or she child was in the mother's womb? How do those influences play out in day-to-day life now and in school life? I get many requests from parents that children are digitized, they are in trouble. Some parents are very desperate. So we need to have a good background understanding of raising up the child from day dot, because most habits are formed in the first 5 years of life. So I am Dr. Lalith Mendis. My research field has been the effect of the digital screen on the child's brain and character curriculum, career and choices. My last official post, substantive post, was as head of Department of Pharmacology in a state medical faculty. How pharmacology gets connected with the topic is because of the screen, brain chemistry changes. But today my talk is to parents who are desperately looking for solutions to help their children. So let me try to get a classification of eight kinds of children. One, children impulsive from birth. So the classic triad of what doctors diagnose as ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, are three symptoms. One is inattention, so that their attention span is shallow and short. Reason for that is the bonding has not been good and the child has not got enough attention. If the child doesn't get enough attention, and if you put the child early on the digital screen, it robs the child from the attention of a mother and a father that ought to mold and also make their brain tracks. So don't feel guilty now. One reason is the digital screen. Even when the mother is on the digital screen while being pregnant, it has an effect on the child's brain. The child's brain begins to wire up more in the stress response. So you get a child from birth who is jittery, doesn't drink the milk easily. You have to walk around and do all kinds of things to put the child to sleep. So you get a child impulsive from birth according to what the child felt in the womb. Now with even from the time we were in medical faculty, which is long time ago, we recognize the symptom of maternal deprivation syndrome, meaning the deprivation mother goes through, the child begins to feel, and child will manifest. So the first kind of child is who has gone through some problems while in the womb. It may be a child's sickness, it may be a mother's sickness, it may be that mom had high blood pressure while the child was in the womb. It may be they had family disputes, and all those family disputes get communicated to the child in the womb. Child in the womb is very sensitive because when, for instance, when the mother is sleeping, the child never kicks. If the mother is woken up from sleep because of the kicking of the child in the womb, you need to know that the child is in distress and you need to consult your VOG, because that's how sensitive a child is to mother's sleeping patterns and mother's health and mental patterns. So first kind of child you need to recognize is child impulsive from birth. Then you need to take a lot more time for bonding with that child. And breastfeeding is a very natural, God-given way of bonding with the child, which is a very good habit practice. Because when you hold the child to the breast, the child begins to recognize the same lub-dub rhythm the child recognized in the mother's womb. Then we have the high IQ child. So from birth, the high IQ child needs more attention, more connection with mom and dad. Of course, with mom firstly, so that you need to give more attention to the high IQ child. So you need to have early learning things in the child's cot hanging for the child to focus and so on. But above anything else, you need to give yourself to the child, when the child has a high IQ, because the child looks for connection. If you put a high IQ child on the smartphone or any other digital gadget, then it becomes a lifelong addiction. So my plea is, please don't put your child on the smartphone. Now, this is not my plea only. The American Pediatric Association many years ago made the decree, not merely a recommendation, a prescription. Don't put the child on the digital screen before the age of 3. Many don't know this. Perhaps many medical practitioners don't know this. No screen at all before the age of 3. Now, I was on the second kind of child, the high IQ child, that needs more attention from the parents. So from day dot, give the child things to hold, and as the child develops and matures, anything that comes within the finger touch and the toe touch makes the child brain brilliant. So crawling on rough surfaces like a choir mat or a reed mat, always the child must have connectivity and touch with fingers and toes. Now, you know, when the child is put on the screen, the child doesn't have touch with fingers and toes. He's looking at the smart screen, which is making the child stupid. The third kind of child is the kinesthetic child. Somehow the child's kinesthetic tracts have already become dominant or prominent while in the mother's womb, and that child wants to crawl, move around. So if you put that child on the digital screen also, the same problems. You must allow that child the moment that child is asking. Fourth kind of child that I encounter in our empathic learning center when parents come desperately is the digitally overstimulated child. That child has absorbed the digital screen, pixel screen too much, and it shows up in the child's moments and choices and so on. I have done many clips on it. So please send a WhatsApp to 076-313-4800. If you are from overseas, it has to be +94 76313 4800. So this is the digitally stimulated child. Then the fifth kind of child is the right brain dominant child. This child is also, the child likes art and is very sound sensitive. So you have to be careful how you bring up this child, because you have to give that child the art attention, visual attention, absorb the kinesthesia with a rocking chair and with, you know, the kinesthetic ball-like thing, you know, that ball that you can sit on, roll on, accommodate the kinesthesia, absorb the kinesthesia, a lot of play activity. At the same time, direct the kinesthesia in a way that brain tracts begin to form rather than the child getting jittery. So the right brain child may not be good at numbers. Of course, they need to learn some mathematics, but you have to provide them art, pictorial forms of absorbing life. That is important. At the same time, you have to know if on any page, pictures are more than 40% of the page, child will not look at letters, the child will only look at the pictures. So that problem is also there. So my suggestion is, do some good reading with the child, for the child, where child recognize letters, and also give letters made out of timber so that the child can touch and get to know the letters. More letter touching, letter recognizing, word recognizing a child does, more the brain becomes brilliant. But you need to understand, some children are right brain and very cheery, and these right brain children tend to be sometimes amygdala children. They cry for anything, they cry, and they might want to have their own way. You need to package them, because if you put them on the phone, they get into a lot of trouble if you put them on the digital screen. So if you ask me, doctor, can't we give the digital screen at all? The recommendation of the American Pediatric Association is not at all till the age of 3, because at the age of 3, till the age of 3, the child absorbs languages, 2 languages and phonemes very effectively. So this is the right brain child, and the child may become an amygdala child, because we are very sensitive to any little pain and hurt the child cries. You need to manage this child, right brain child. The 6th one is the amygdala child. Seventh one is children mechanized in brain for lack of heart engagement. So their brain is like a computer. This is a very sad thing because they were put on the screen so much. They didn't have heart engagement. They are very legalistic. They have not developed their empathic intuitive tract. They have not developed their empathic relational tract. We have to get them into company. They are loners. They are by themselves. They can move to dyspathy, antisocial nature. So you have to encourage the child to get into more relational activity, provide for it, engage friends, and this is how you need to move with your child. Then of course there are other causes a child may show inattention: dyslexia, hearing or sight deficiency, malnutrition, lack of sleep, child abuse. All these cause a child to become inattentive, and you have to get medical opinion for all this. So that was a rough classification of children. So what do we recommend when a parent finds a child is, even at the age of 3 or 4, not able to sit at one thing, which will show up at school time. Generally passing age 5 and 6, this shows up because that's the time the speech difficulty shows up, engagement, relational difficulty shows up. So what can you do? One, read from books and do a lot of craft. This is what we did in our empathic learning center. Then match shapes and colors, give them building blocks, and Lego is also okay if the child is older. Many things, and then give them clay. Bookshops have clay, is better than plasticine, to put their fingers around and squeeze and make shapes, and you can make the shape and get them to follow the shape. Then draw and paint at any age. Black and white art is also good, so you get them to draw and paint. If they come to the stitching age, even little stitching is a very good activity, little stitching. Put them into stitching classes, then put them into guitar classes. Now this is also online activity, but while the child is on online, there are many things you can do to reduce the child getting digitized, such as barefooted, the child can be on a choir rope, and I have done a separate clip on how to do a gym at home, and always have the child squeezing something with one hand or the other while on online studies. So today's talk is not on online studies. I have a separate clip for that. You can send me a WhatsApp for that to 076-313-4800. Then if you have a little sand pit in the house, make a sand pit, 4 feet by 4 feet, or you can make it a little longer, 2 feet by 8 feet, make a sand thing and get the child to run on it. Sand is a geometric particle that running on it adjusts the brain well. And then when you use this small muscle activity with ball games or anything else like that, marbles, gardening, fish tank, whatever, dad playing with the son, evening as he comes home, always try to come home at least 3 times a week before sunset, so that child gets the joy and the brain benefit of watching sunset and playing with dad. That's how your melatonin cycle is kicked off for the night. That's a separate subject. I'm not touching it on that. I'm today looking at the child who is becoming difficult and unrelational, giving trouble at school. What can you do? So clay molding, you mold with them. Then the mechanoset, you do with them. Sand art, sand work. Then any kind of things that the child at the age relevant activity with the fingers and toes will greatly help the child. Working out puzzles, and adult has to work out puzzles with him. Get him into fun activities that helps him focus and concentration, and you restore or reward motive. Childs become dyspathic because when they are on the bottom up regulation, we are designed to move on the brain, top-down regulation from the prefrontal cortex. But when a child gets habitually impulsive because of the digital screen or because of whatever intrauterine effects the brain absorbed, then child becomes bottom-up regulation. That means whatever comes from outside, he is very sensitive to that. So he can't follow classes, he can't follow the study line because other things from outside, the slightest thing, disturbs him. So you have to get him into salience focus with fun activity, you doing then pulp work, clay molding, as I told you, the mechanoset, craft activities, then playing a guitar at the age when he can, playing any instrument, the flute, mouth organ, any playing instrument is helpful, vegetable garden, any kind of garden is helpful. Then at food time, no digital screen at all, and give the child crunchy food. You sit with the child and get him to eat as much as possible with his fingers, and getting him crunchy food, getting him to munch and concentrate on his food helps the brain tract both with oxytocin and for communication. Speak nice stories to him, engage him, and so the feed time is a very important time to recover the child's confidence at relationship. Remember, a good meal, eating time, a home-cooked meal, and sitting with the child is the best time to recover the child. Often parents come and ask me for therapy when parents are the best therapists at home, at meal time, at play time, at common activity time. It's not the fantastic holidays you go on a weekend or sometimes go. It's a making home the fun-centered, brain-brilliant activity center. That's how you become, parents have to become therapists for your child. Don't despair, we can help you towards it. You can do it. You can get your child out of the trouble. We will help you with all the techniques and therapies we have innovated, and you can bring them to our Empathic Motor Therapy Center. It's on Leslie Ranagala Mawatha 374. Send a WhatsApp to 0763134800. It's a challenge course in a 3,600 square foot area. It's all grips and ropes. You will see some photographs on my Facebook timeline, and if you send I will send a little clip. If you send me a WhatsApp to 0763134800, how the parents can be the child's therapist. We will keep a supervisor, but parents you have to go through the trouble of the child yourself, but not alone, with help, and you can come through this. I want to encourage you. Then of course then at food time, the crunchy beetroot, carrot, then the fruit, you have to get them to eat fruit, because the serotonin in the serotonin formation by eating fruits have a thing called 5-hydroxytryptophan, and from it serotonin is formed. When the child is digitized and aggressive, his dopamine is all the time up. So eating fruit is a great way to get the dopamine down, and all these activities with finger movement and joint movement, any game is good enough, physical game, and then hang the ball from the roof and tick-tock with a cricket bat. All that stimulates the glutamate tracts, which will put down the dopamine tract, which is the cause of childhood aggression. Too much dopamine, either because of digital stimulation or because of inborn impulsivity. We can attend on that. Then parents doing board games with children, draft, carom, archery, table tennis, throwing the ring, pool table, cricket of course. Then swimming is a very good activity for that coordination, and all joints being involved in the swimming is therapeutic for children who show aggression, hyperactivity, impulsivity at school or home. Please put them into a swimming class, and some swimming coaches take special note of this. Then playing some music instrument, and then what we used to do is we used to organize children drama. They practice a script and they do the drama together, and they have those relational activities. So I wanted to give you a good hope that your child can come out of it. Then I want to emphasize the fact that parents become therapists, we can help you in it, and then recognizing your children, what they are like, will also help you. So to this I have to add, the Good Shepherd has a good plan for each of our children. Each child is unique, and there is a real God-given destiny for each child. So do not despair. Work with the Good Shepherd also. He has promised that in your trouble, children have a special relationship with the Good Shepherd, because he said, bring them to me and they immediately recognize joy and safety with the Good Shepherd. This will be a children's experience when you introduce them to the Good Shepherd, sing those little nursery rhymes, and for you also there would be a certain sense of peace coming because the problem can be solved. Thank you. Pass this on to friends. Online trouble and children, how to manage children is a major issue with schools getting disrupted. So take care of your neighbor as you take care of yourself also. Thank you for listening. Pass this clip on so that agitated parents will know there is a way out. Yes.